it smells like cinnamon. That's because this is a cinnamon tree. All right, so you see this thing right here? This is a heat pad. It actually feels warm. It's February right now, so that's why this tree was able to travel in the winter during the colder months of the year in a non-tropical area of the world. This is a tropical tree, and considering it's like freezing outside in most parts of the country, so this tree came from New Jersey, and this little pack right here kept it warm and protected during the 3 days it was in transit. So I feel like this isn't discussed a lot in the houseplant growing world, but did you know that you can grow cinnamon as a houseplant? This is the same type of cinnamon tree that they use to harvest the bark to make cinnamon that's used in your favorite desserts and other types of dishes. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to grow a cinnamon tree as a houseplant. I'm going to give you tips on things like what type of soil to use, what type of fertilizer, and general tips on growing cinnamon as a houseplant. So let's garden on. So as far as what soil you should use for a cinnamon tree, I'm using ProMix. This is a good all-purpose soil. It's very fluffy. It has mycorrhiza and a lot of perlite in it. But I am going to make some adjustments to make it better for this tree. So I'm adding some orchid mix. So this has fir bark, charcoal, and some coarse perlite. And I'm also going to be adding some additional mycorrhiza. So basically what the mycorrhiza does, it creates a symbiotic relationship between the growing medium or the soil and the roots of the actual plant, so the plant will grow healthier and stronger. So I'm going to use 2 bags of this orchid mix. So I filled half of the container with the ProMix. I got this pot at Home Goods for a pretty good price, a lot cheaper than you would find it at, say, like Home Depot, your local nursery, or any other big box store. Going to mix that together. So since there's not a lot of organic matter in this ProMix, adding the orchid mix is going to add that organic matter to this soil medium. Like I said, I'm just going to add a little bit more mycorrhiza for that symbiotic relationship. And I have some worm castings. This is a slow release, really low impact fertilizer. It just has a little bit of nitrogen in it. Basically just worm poop. Add a little bit of the worm castings to that and mix again. So now I'm adding more of the ProMix and then 1 more bag of this orchid mix. So the tree is a little bit root bound, so I'm going to break apart some of these roots. So as far as what kind of fertilizer I'm using for my cinnamon tree, I'm using Osmocote. So this is a slow release synthetic fertilizer. So since I'm primarily growing my cinnamon tree for ornamental reasons as a houseplant and not really worrying about harvesting the bark, I don't mind using a synthetic fertilizer. But if you want to use an organic fertilizer, you can use this Fox Farm fertilizer. This is a 645 fertilizer. So this is a good all-purpose fertilizer as well if you want to go organic. But like I said, since I'm growing more for ornamental reasons, you know, just to grow it as a houseplant, I'm just going to add a little bit of this fertilizer around the root ball, since it's a slow release. So Osmocote has 11 essential nutrients, which makes it a well-balanced fertilizer. So when it comes to fertilizing your plants, less is often more, because adding too much fertilizer can shock your plant, which can set you back or even kill your plant altogether. And with Osmocote, you only have to fertilize once every 6 months. So that being said, always read the back of the label to make sure you're not adding too much fertilizer to your plant. Always pack in the soil too, so you don't have any air pockets. That way that your plant stays healthy and there's no like root rot or any damage to the roots, you know, because you don't want those air pockets. You need to have that soil well packed. And another little tip is have some kind of repotting mat like I have down here, so you don't make a huge mess. So now that I've repotted this tree, I want to make sure I water it because it has been traveling across the country for around 3 days. And I have to admit, I am surprised of how good a condition this tree is in, because it is February and it was coming from New Jersey. And even though I chose the winterized protection, which I showed you earlier in the video, I wasn't sure if the tree was going to make it, but that thing kept the tree super warm. So yeah, just after you repot a tree like this, make sure you water it, because like I said, it's been traveling across the country and it needs some water. So I also want to mention that cinnamon trees like bright indirect sunlight. So basically, if you can read a book without any lamps, just with the sunlight coming through your windows, that should be enough light. They like moderate to high humidity and temperatures between 65 and 85 degrees. That's why it's best to grow a cinnamon tree as a house plant if you don't live in a tropical area. But if you live in like zone 10 or warmer, you probably can grow this outside. But as far as me, I live in 9B and it gets way too cold. So that's why my only option, if I want to grow a cinnamon tree, is to grow it as a house plant. So just like any other plant that you might be growing, whether it's something outside or inside as a house plant, you could run into some pests. So some pests that you might see on your cinnamon tree might be things like aphids, spider mites, or gnats. And if you see any of those pests on your cinnamon tree, you can use some neem oil to eliminate them. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be wondering, how long does it take to harvest the bark from your cinnamon tree? Well, it takes 2 to 3 years, but that's not why I'm growing it. Like I said earlier, I'm growing my cinnamon tree as a houseplant and for ornamental reasons. And frankly, not a lot of people are growing a cinnamon tree as a houseplant, so I thought it might be something cool and unique. So one last thing that I recommend that you guys do is take a wet or damp paper towel and just clean the leaves. Wipe all the dirt down, because, you know, like I said, this was in transit, so some of the soil, you know, bounced all around. And if you want to keep your tree healthy, you don't want to have a bunch of dirt all over the leaves. So just try to wipe it down as best as you can. Alright guys, so I hope you found some information in this video helpful. Let me know in the comments if you plan on growing a cinnamon tree or if you've grown one before. But if you found any information in this video helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more gardening videos. Until the next time, I'll catch you on the flip side of the garden. Thanks for watching.